Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome to Underexposed. My name is Phil. I am your host, and I'm here with my beautiful wife. We have some new gear. I'm super excited. I've been geeking out
Yep.
for like the past week or so.
Yes.
So I just wanted to apologize. I wanted to start off with an apology because I didn't air an episode last week, and I just feel like for all of those that are consistently watching, not that we owe you, but we do our best to be consistent and keep everything rolling smoothly. And I got a new camera, got a bunch of stuff, and been busy, and we're here. So I'm doing my best. I do need more people to interview, so if any of you guys know anybody,
Yes.
definitely reach
Please.
out via Instagram. You could send me a DM, or if you have my number, just text me, and we'll set something up. So I've been wanting to talk about the wifey and her projects.
Uh-huh.
She's been very private lately about her work and what she's been up to, and that's okay because take your time, baby.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a scary thing to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then whatever, life happens and you don't get around to it. That's just something that's always bothered me. So I just rather get it done. And then when it's officially done, now I could say something.
Right. So as of right now, it's almost done. So we won't get into all that. But if you really, really must know, my wife is a songwriter.
Yes.
And God has blessed her with some talent and some strong words that have been just keeping this family intact. And even like this last song that I heard you write, I know a lot of people are going to be like, give us the song. But this last song you did really, really had me.
Yeah. Me too.
It's some very strong stuff. So I did want to also touch on mental health. Just kind of spread the awareness out there and help some people understand, both secular and religious folk. If you guys have any questions, we're not professionals in any way. We're not licensed to be given any kind of advice or, legitimate advice, but we do have our life experiences. We have a son with autism. We have a daughter with ADHD. We have my wife with PPD. We have me with OCD and ADHD, and Nymeria's to be determined. She's just got
hopefully nothing.
She's just got some spoiled issues. She can be bratty, but
Definitely.
she's in her twos. Okay, so what's
Anyways,
this to be expected? So we could touch on some mental health and kind of see where. Let's see where this takes us. Where do you want to start?
Well, that's what this album that I'm going to be coming out with, that's what it's pretty much based around. Mental health awareness. I believe that's something very strongly that's going on right now, especially in our generation. There's a lot of cases coming up, people dealing with depression and anxiety, so including myself. So I was sitting down trying to think, what should I write about? And Holy Spirit said, write about what you've been dealing with. And I'm like, you know what? That's actually perfect because everybody's kind of going through this right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how, I don't know, I've noticed that a lot of people in our church or just in church in general, a lot of people have been dealing with anxiety and
Big
stress and depression, confusion, anger. And the problem is that when you get into a religious setting, everything becomes spiritual and religious. And I'm not going to knock it and say it's not, because everything that's going on in our physical world is going on in our spiritual world. But I also know that whatever you do in the physical world affects the spiritual world. And so you can't just pray and be in spirit and not do anything physically to help yourself and your depression or anxiety or whatever it is you're dealing with. You got to actually take the steps to try to get better, you know, because I feel like a lot of people kind of just leave it at, let me just pray and I'll wait. And then the more you pray and wait, the longer it takes, because God's not going to do it all for you. I mean, he does a lot, and I certainly believe he's a God of miracles, but at some point, if you keep falling under stress, anxiety, and depression, there's something you're doing to invite that into your body, because these are just emotions. They're just unregulated. And because they're unregulated, they're affecting your body. They're affecting all of you. And so you were going to say something.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
So this is what happens when I don't let her speak. Even though
I instantly forget.
Even though she thought of it like 2 seconds ago, she's already forgotten.
So bad.
But yeah, so with things you can do in the physical world, things you could do secularly, or just if you're anybody dealing with depression, anxiety, stress, or anything like that, is just get moving.
Yeah.
Got a little fly up.
Got a little friend flying around here.
He pays rent. Don't worry about him.
Melvin. The house fly.
We're in our home, and this time we decided, let's just chill on the couch.
Yeah,
so my wife's all comfy. She's all in her blanket, her sweater, and all that. I'm hot, so I'm just chilling over here. But yeah, this is nice. I like this rig.
Yeah, that's pretty chill.
We might figure something out. Probably get a coffee table or something.
Yeah.
But this is nice. This is good. Things you can do. So what are some things that you did or you do to kind of help yourself with anxiety and stress and stuff, now that you're a little bit more self-aware about when it's starting to creep up on you and stuff like that?
I tried to adjust my thinking process or my thought process. Usually when the anxiety starts coming up, it's because the only thing that's repeating in my head is, oh my God, I can't handle this. It's coming again. I'm focusing on the panic. So I try my best to move my thoughts towards the reality of the moment, that everything's actually okay. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. It's a mind battle, trying to get your head focused. It's like you're pulling this heavy weight. Chances are you're not, you're not sure if you're going to make it to the other side. But yeah, thought process, trying to control it.
For me, I'm not someone who gets sad easily or often. So anxiety is more of a anticipation for me. Like I'm anticipating something. Like I get anxiety and stuff when I'm expecting a paycheck from unemployment and they're taking too long. And,
Yeah.
you know, or if
It's probably everybody.
if I sent an estimate for work and they said they would reach out to me like within the next day or so, and it's been 2-3 days, and just like, okay, like
Stressful.
what's going on? Got to rely on these clients, but also their communication sucks. So anxiety builds in me, but not in the form of sadness or depression. For me, it's more of like anticipation. So what I do is I just think of the worst thing that could happen. I know it's pessimistic, but as long as I'm like, well, they're probably not going to call me.
Yeah.
When they do call me, I'm like, oh, what a delightful surprise.
My God.
So if I'm prepared for the worst, then when the best happens, it's just extra nice. And this way I don't have to anticipate they're not going to call me. Or what if they, like, I don't have to deal with the what ifs of whether or not they'll call me or whether or not I'll be getting paid or not. As far as like,
Because to me, how can you not pay attention to that?
of course. And I'd still do my job to make sure that I'm making the right phone calls to say, hey, where's my check? Or reaching out to the clients and saying, hey, just checking in on the estimate. Is there anything I can add or subtract from the job process or anything like that? Or maybe do you want a phone meeting? And I still send out messages and I still do my part in trying to not just give up on life, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily like to think of myself as pessimistic because I still hope for the best. But if I'm getting anxiety, then I'm letting this take control. I'm letting the mentality of reliance on these jobs or on the government or on whoever. And I'd rather just rely on God.
Yeah.
So I know not everybody here is religious or spiritual, but in my personal life, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I'd rather rely on this guy who died for me 2,000 years ago because he calls himself a provider.
And he is.
And he is. He's never failed us.
Never.
We've been through some pretty harsh stuff. And
He's always there.
he's always there in one way, shape, or form. You guys may have your own thoughts on that, and I'm not going to judge you, but at the end of the day, this is what happens in our home. And yeah, I've been heavily reliant on God because, I mean, that's how blessed we are. I get to counting all my blessings. I get to look at the kids and they're happy, they're eating, they're not losing any weight. Neither am I. So it's not like we're starving ourselves over here or nothing, but it's definitely nice. It's a nice change of view and mentality.
Yeah.
Another thing you could do is just get moving.
Yes.
Just move and do something.
Something that used to really help me, and I've been trying to get back doing it, is waking up earlier in the morning and go out jogging. Maybe not jogging, just power walking.
Right.
It helps, man.
I saw another podcast with Joe Rogan on it, and they're talking about depression and how it was non-existent in first world countries and stuff like that because they have to keep their bodies in constant movement. So they never had time to just sit and then feel.
Yeah.
It was like wake up at 4 a.m, make sure the chickens are fed,
Get to it.
And all day it was okay. Now at 9 o'clock, I got to milk the cows. I got to do this, got to do that. Got to go and clean their poop. Got to go feed the rest of the animals. And then got to come inside, take a break. Then I got to feed my family and then come outside and then make sure the animals are still eating, wash, give them baths and stuff like that. And continue to just work on the land. If you have land, you probably have crops and stuff. So you got to go work and you're busy up until like 10 o'clock at night. So then all you have really time for is just work and sleep.
Yeah.
And be with your family. And because you work with your family, that's also your family time. And so the lifestyle was constant movement. So depression never had a chance to like seep its way in.
Yeah.
Now in modern days, it's more of a laid back. You go to work 8 hours. You come home, you still have 16 hours to do whatever you want. And you sit down, watch TV, numb your brain on TikTok. I know I do.
Yeah, same.
So because we have less to do and less movement, and we're just stagnant or sitting and less active, and all that kind of just
That
lets
affects.
you sit. Yeah, you just sit down and, well, what do I do now? It's like then the depression starts to seep in, then the anxiety starts to kick in,
Yeah.
and you end up having to medicate, which we're not too happy about, because medication only honestly cures the symptom, but it doesn't cure the core
Yeah.
of what's going on. And I say that because we're people that medicate, and we're in a slow process of learning how to get to the core of the reasons why the anxiety and all that pops up, the depression, because we'd love to one day never have to rely on medication.
Exactly.
So but we've talked enough on our previous episodes and stuff like that about,
Speaking on that, throughout this album, recording, hearing myself, dealing with myself, and watching you deal with me, I've been learning so much about myself and how that in itself has affected my mental health. Trying to erase who I thought I was and try to, create? Well, no, not create, but fit in who I really am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think a lot of it too is just because we're in a process of creation. Like, you're creating music, you're creating lyrics and stuff like that. You're kind of forced to analyze.
Yeah.
Because you're forced to analyze, there's a lot more to see now. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't think of. Let's go back. Let's look into this. And because we're analyzing more, we're starting to realize more. We're thinking more about all the things that we do or stuff like that. And I don't know. I like the analytical process. I'm a very heavy thinker. But for me, like, my brain, even to start this podcast, like, I have to numb or delete all the tabs in my brain because I have, like, Internet Explorer. It's all slow. That old search. I don't even know what to call it. That old software. We used to use Internet Explorer, and then it moved to Firefox, and then the next cool thing was Google Chrome, and
wow.
And so, yeah, that's what I'm running up here. It's just that old school Internet Explorer. And so I got all these tabs open of information I'm still processing. And I had to learn to just close them all without finishing. And the OCD in me wants to finish. The OCD in me needs to finish. And so I've lately been kind of dealing with choosing one, either the ADHD or the OCD, because if I push myself away from one, I end up pushing myself closer to the other. And the ADHD is something I know that it's something I can manage, and so the OCD, on the other hand, is very compulsive. It's where I get a lot of my spontaneity, like being spontaneous and stuff like that. And then the minute I find something I like zero in on it, and I learn everything I can about it. Like this new camera that I got.
Yeah.
I got the new camera because the lady I bought it from on Facebook Market, her husband had passed. And she needed it gone because it just reminded her of him. And I don't know her whole story.
Oh my God, you didn't tell me that.
I know, it's because, but the OCD or the ADHD had me focused on this new camera. And so, like, I'm barely, there's no better place to talk about it than now. So,
right.
Yeah, so this lady sold it to me because she just wanted it gone. And also it reminded her of her husband. And so she needed it out of her life but this camera is a very expensive camera. It's like a $1,200 camera. It's an older one. The newer versions are out and they've been out, but this one is really nice. And I got it for $280. I did mention to her too before I went, because she was out like 20 minutes. She was like a 20-minute drive away. And I was like, you're not going to raise the price on me when I get there, right? Because it's a pretty long drive for me. And she was like, no, I just $280. And I think a lot of other people had it on Facebook Market for like $800 or so, like used. Wow. But new, I know for a fact this camera because I looked it up. and it's a really nice camera. I composed over it. I started doing all the research. What can I do? What can I get? I got myself an external recorder. I learned all like the stuff that works on it, the stuff that doesn't. And because it's an older camera, there's so much information on it. And you can't do that with newer cameras. I'm ranting, aren't I?
Yes, I don't care. And I'm over here thinking like, okay, hope these listeners care about cameras.
My bad, guys.
It's okay.
I'll get you guys back. Anyways, what was the original topic? Mental health?
Mental health.
See, I got excited over this camera and
Dear God.
Anyways, that's what it's like living with mental health issues.
Exactly what it's like.
It is really hard to like reel in on all of our family issues and stuff like that, or just issues in our marriage because of your BPD.
Yeah.
You've had some weird triggers that I didn't expect.
And they're triggers that I didn't even know were triggers.
Right. And because of that, I mean, we learn off of each other and stuff like that, which is nice. But there's so much. Like, there's just a lot of stuff to learn.
A lot of people,
as long as...
I notice a lot of people don't really talk about the loved ones that you sometimes have to lose for a bit in a healing process.
Yeah.
You hear all this pump up about, oh, you know, if they're toxic, kick them out of your life. You don't need them. And, but let's really talk about it, because some of those toxic people are your blood relatives.
Yeah.
You know?
We grew up listening and learning that family sticks together.
Yeah.
And then when we're out here, all of a sudden we're like, okay, well, my family's been here. But I got all these issues. And because they're my family, they don't take me serious when I say it's an issue.
Yeah.
And because they think they know me. And they might.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've been around them.
Yeah, they know us.
But the problem is that you'll start to realize that something's wrong here in me. Yeah. And the minute you start trying to work on it, let's use an example like a diet. I started a diet when I was like 17, 18 years old because I wanted to get fit. I wanted to get a six-pack again. You know, I was like, I miss it. I want one. You know, like, I'm going to get one. Because the last time I had one, I was like a baby, you know? So I was like, I'm going to get one. I started a diet. I started working out. And my family decided it was like the best time in the world to just start making all kinds of food at home because nobody was cooking. It was this weird season in our life where like my mom didn't have a job, but she'd only cook for my dad when he got there. And the rest of the time she'd be out running errands and stuff for him. And my sister was at her job and I was at my job. Like we just had completely separate lives. Yeah. And the minute I was like, oh, I'm gonna take advantage of this and start getting in shape and stuff. All of a sudden, my parents had got an asadas every weekend, and my mom started cooking because she missed it, and she started baking. And then I'm like, what the heck? And then like I started going to the gym, and they start making fun of me, like in the form of carrilla.
Yeah.
Those of you that don't know what carrilla means, it's like teasing, like healthily. I put quotes on the end of it because
it's really very healthy.
It's a very Mexican cultural thing where carrilla is kind of embodied in the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can't take it, you don't give it. And if you can't take it, you're kind of looked at as wimpy.
Yep.
So just that should say a lot about it. So, I started getting teased a lot about going to the gym and stuff like, hey,
yeah.
Hey, ¿dónde vas? And I'd be with a gym bag. Like I went and bought all the stuff,
oh,
but it didn't mean that they didn't love me.
Yeah.
They were just like confused by my actions.
Mm-hmm.
Things changed. And then when they offered me meat and when they offered me like cake and all the stuff they baked, and I was like, no, I'm on a diet. And so it was a lot of that, nah, don't take you serious. Like, nah, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So dealing with mental health in a home environment is not always the best choice, but it's one of those things that you just have to find a way to get it done. Sometimes the best way to deal with it is to be alone.
Yeah.
Move out, get away, find some time for yourself.
What
If you're
helped
married
me.
and you got the kids and the wife and you still haven't resolved your issues,
Mm-hmm.
find time for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Work with your wife. Share with her. Tell her what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I got some. I don't know how to fix it. I need time for myself to figure it out. I'm going to use the time that you go to church. Because let's be honest, sometimes church isn't going to help.
Yeah.
If you got to take a break from it, take a break from it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that goes to prove something. Sorry, guys. One of my cameras decided to shut off. So it was good that I did it on this with two cameras rolling. So you're still here.
Carry on. What were you saying?
So yeah, so if you're married, find the time. Make time to figure yourself out. Whether it's an hour every other day, or like you spend a day to yourself every month, just trying to figure yourself out, trying to figure out what's wrong with you, how to deal with yourself. I know not everybody can afford therapy. We're those people that can't afford therapy. So I stick my head into podcasts about mental health and try to see what other people do and how they deal with it. Mm-hmm. Because it's hard and no one's going to help you.
Yep.
You got to help you.
You have to start it.
So sometimes the best thing you can do is just step away from the noise. Definitely still be there for your kids. Do your daddy duties. Do your mommy duties.
Mm-hmm.
But make time. Because pay for a babysitter if you have to invest in yourself. Mm-hmm. Because then you can be a better parent.
I've known so many people that struggle so much with just going somewhere by themselves to think, to process, to reflect. They're so afraid. So they just constantly go hang out here, hang out there, go here, go everywhere. You have to have moments of silence. It's crucial.
Yeah.
Constant reflection. Okay, how have I been doing these past couple weeks? What can I fix?
Yeah. There's different things you can do besides taking time for yourself. Sometimes just having a therapy session with a friend, or in our case, like we have our talks where we're just, it's hard for me to say this to you right now, but I'm feeling vulnerable. I feel this way. I feel that way. And that's the only way we can really get it out.
Yep.
And it's not until, even if it sucks that you're like being vulnerable, because I've had some times where I'm like, man, I should have told her that.
Oh.
I should have just kept that one to myself because now she's going to point it out every time I'm going through it. I can't think of a good example, but I know we've had like 2 or 3 of those where I've told you something in my vulnerability, like whenever this happens, I end up spiraling and doing this. And those are weird times because then I'm like, oh, no, she knows. And so now it's, and I know you've been very good at like beating around the bush with like trying not to hurt my feelings or stuff like that. So,
well, depending on what it is that you opened up about, there's times where I'll have to bring it up.
Right.
Whatever the case might be, like, hey, remember that time you mentioned you did this? Okay, well, you're doing it right now.
And then during that time, I'm just cringing inside.
Yeah.
With regret.
But the thing is, you do the same exact freaking thing to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's freaking garlic going down. Like, that's how terrible it is. Garlic. To hear that. Ugh.
Garlic's pretty good, though. It's good.
Just by itself, raw garlic.
It's pretty healthy, yeah. Maybe there's a deeper
apple cider vinegar over that any day.
Nasty. We have an insider between it. My wife used to drink apple cider vinegar with what? With lemon and water.
Honey.
And honey.
Stir it up in warm water and in a glass and just gulp it down.
That's nasty. I used to smell it from the other room and I'd be gagging over there. So
it works. Extremely slow, but
my mom used to clean with vinegar. And she'd put it like she'd mix vinegar with her Windex and stuff.
Windex, really?
Yeah, because apparently vinegar is very good at removing water stains. So like for shower doors and stuff like that made out of glass and you get all those water stains on the glass. The cleaning company my mom used to work for used to use vinegar to clear it out. So my mom learned that secret and she just added vinegar to everything. And so our house stank like vinegar. And so I made a decision to never be around vinegar again. And then I got married to this woman who drinks it and then tries to come and kiss me. Ew. But yeah. One of the songs talks about relapsing a little bit, right?
Drinking.
Yeah. So it's called Oh No. It's one of my I think it's my favorite song on the album. Which my bad. Yes, it's an album.
Yeah. I already said it.
Oh, earlier. Okay. Yeah. Phew. And it talks about relapsing with the addiction to drinking and stuff like that. For a lot of people, addiction is a mental health.
Yeah.
Because you can get addicted to pretty much anything. And it has nothing to do with the chemicals in it sometimes. Sometimes it's just you. And I don't know. In our house, we're believers in drinking. Like we have a beer here and there, glass of wine, margarita or something light. Nothing that's going to get us drunk. That's where we draw the line. Even I don't like even the buzz or anything like that. I just like the flavor.
Yeah, that in that song, I'm speaking about in terms of my past, the times that I was trying to stop drinking.
Yeah,
and you feel like shit when you relapse.
Right. I've had those moments. Even I had those moments when I was trying to quit smoking because I stopped cold turkey at first, and I starved the monster that wanted to smoke. And the problem with that is it just got more and more hungry. And so anytime I'd pass by any sort of liquor store, I just had this itch like, I need it. And that wasn't the case. I was tripping. But I had to learn through Holy Spirit, thank God, to create good habits. And I feel like that could be applied to pretty much anything. Like creating good habits, creating the habit of just keeping yourself occupied, really, with anything else, anything healthy. For me, it started with going to the gym at 4 a.m. When you met me, I used to go with my boss at Villara, and we used to go to the gym and then be at work by 6. And it was one of those weird things that, like, because at Villara is where I started smoking the most during that time period when I worked for that company. It was just easy. Like, they always told us don't smoke in the company vehicles, but everybody was doing it. And nobody was checking you'd take your vehicle home. Like, no one's going to tell you nothing. And so I remember it was just easy because as a quality control inspector, I would show up to the job site, smoke a cigarette, walk into the house, do the inspection, walk out, smoke a cigarette, walk back in, do my second run just to double check, walk out, smoke a cigarette, get in the car, smoke another cigarette, go to the next job site, get off the car, smoke another cigarette. Like, it was just all day. Just, it was very easy. And then especially if I had to talk to like a superintendent or talk to one of the supervisors about one of the projects because they had failing inspections, during that whole talk, I'd be smoking a cigarette, like, because it was easy.
That's bad, babe.
It was very bad. That's how it was, like, smoking a pack and a half a day,
Yeah.
2 packs a day. Like,
that's bad.
I would run through them. And I got addicted not just to the nicotine, because I don't think the nicotine was the worst of it. Like, that's not what I had the most addiction to. I think it was just the actual feeling of holding it and inhaling it and feeling the warmth.
Yeah.
All of that was part of the addiction process.
I can understand that.
It wasn't the nicotine, though, because I didn't relapse because I needed the cigarette. I just wanted to hold it. I wanted to just feel it, you know? And so even with other stuff, I started smoking vape pens after that. And they're not as, they were advertised as not as bad because it wasn't actual smoke going into your lungs. It was vapor. But the problem is that water would build up inside your lungs. And so all of the smoke that would build up and you know how you get charred lungs and stuff.
Yeah.
Adding water to that would make it very chalky inside your lungs. And so you can't even speak with, like, raising your voice at a certain point without coughing. And so that was just making it worse. And so I started going to a hookah lounge, and I was like, well, it's not cigarettes, it's vapor, you know, and it just got bad. It took a really bad turn because the addiction was just to the actual feeling of smoking, not necessarily the nicotine. And when I got the news from the doctor saying I had lung cancer and I was getting diagnosed, they needed check-ins and all that, it got real serious. It got very serious. And so that's when I wanted to take it serious, but starving the addiction wasn't doing it. The first thing I did was starve the addiction, and I failed. And so I had revelation later on creating good habits. And the more good habits you can create, the more things you can occupy yourself with. Slowly but surely, you'll start to push away the bad habits without even trying. Because I feel like God told me, don't stop smoking. Like, just don't try to stop, because the minute you're trying, you're already failing. And so it started with just, how about instead of buying another pack of cigarettes, because at the time they cost like $8 or so, why don't you just buy someone lunch? And the money you had for the cigarettes is gone now. But creating the habit of buying someone lunch was also a way of me like getting closer to my coworkers, finding, getting to know people, and like I just started changing things. And
You're a good father.
Yeah, so
because he was speaking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that just went over your head.
Yeah. So creating good habits was one way of getting rid of the addiction. It was kind of a revelation I had with God, and learning how to really overcome. And what I ended up doing was killing the addiction in me. Like, that's the only way to really do it. And I remember going through depression at that time because of other stuff and wanting to die. And so part of that testimony goes deeper than just the smoking and all that. But I went through depression and wanting to die and stuff. I felt like useless and all this other stuff. And so that's another reason why I was smoking more. It was a way to comfort myself. And I had to find a different way to comfort myself so that I wouldn't use the smoking to comfort me. And so creating a different addiction or pattern or habit was to like talk to friends. It was very weird for me at first because I never had the kind of friends I could just talk to, till I met this one guy that worked at Laura, and his name's Michael. So met him, started hanging out a lot with him, talking. He met me through some junk, and he was just he never told me, hey, stop smoking. I remember there was a few times where I was like trying to quit, and he tried to help me with it, but he never was pushy about it. He just listened, honestly. And that actually helped me stop smoking. Because a lot of the times I would smoke is because I also had no one to talk to.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just go to a parking lot and spark one up. I would go to those bus station pickup zones where it's like an empty parking lot, and you can go park there, and the bus will pick you up right there, and you could take the bus to work or whatever. So I would go to those zones and just sit in my truck and smoke. And then I would always carry cologne with me and stuff, spray myself down, because I didn't think my parents were smart enough to know if I was smoking. They were. They weren't stupid.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, we're not
They
dumb.
knew.
I used to walk out into my truck in the front of our house and smoke, and my dad was like, one day he was like, hey, somebody keeps leaving cigarette butts in front of the driveway. It's kind of annoying to pick up. And I was like, what?
Who that? Who be doing that?
One of these neighbors probably. Let me go clean it up though. He was like, you never offered to clean anything up. He was
Just
like,
being a good citizen.
yeah. So my dad later on, he was like, you never offered to clean anything up. He was like, that was like the cherry on top for them. Like, they knew. He was like, we didn't tell you nothing because we can't tell you. You're an adult. Like, we're not gonna tell you how to live your life. So he actually stopped my mom from telling me something. He stopped, people from making it like awkward. They were just like, he'll learn, he'll figure it out, and I did. But that was funny. Like, later on, talking to my dad about it, he was like, yeah, we knew you were smoking.
It's heck embarrassing when you find out by your parents, like, they knew stuff. They knew stuff, and oh crap.
Yeah. I'd walk in the house smelling like burnt cologne. And then I'd go and say hi to them, and my breath would just smell like cigarette. My cars smelled like cigarette, like crazy.
Or like with me, when I would sneak out the window, there was dirt right in front of my window, so my dad would see my footsteps all the time. I thought I was being sneaky.
So that was an interesting part of my life. And the funny thing is that I was hiding it as an adult, like paying bills and stuff. Like I knew my parents, even if they did have a problem with it, it's not like they could make me stop. But I just was too afraid of disappointing them.
Oh.
Because I knew that they didn't teach me to smoke. They didn't teach me to do any of that. My dad never gave us that example. He never showed up drunk or smoking. He never did anything like that in front of us. The most he ever did was have a glass of wine. And it was like a very begrudging time. And it was hard for him to even do that. So my dad never gave us that example. But because of that, we got curious. We wanted to know what it was like, and we knew he wasn't the one that was going to teach us, so we went and figured it out with someone else.
That's what happens.
We ended up becoming, people who got drunk and stuff, made bad decisions, and kept it away from our parents. And I say we because my siblings are in there with it too, or they were. We all made bad decisions due to drinking and smoking and stuff like that, and partying it up. But we weren't going to learn by our parents. Like our parents never. What we do with our kids is we definitely have drinks in the house. They know that those are adult drinks. They know not to touch them, and we never have enough for anybody to get drunk.
Yep.
Like even if our kids were teenagers and decided to sneak into our liquor cabinet and drink everything that was there, they'd have a buzz. Because we don't drink to get drunk. And I feel like a lot of the issues with anxiety can be fixed with the same method.
What was that?
Create good habits.
Oh, good habits.
The more good habits you can create, and you don't do them all at once. Definitely don't do them all at once.
Overload.
Literally just one habit at a time. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing the toxic things that you're doing and hurting yourself, like with smoking or drinking or stuff like that. But every week, make it a point to create one good habit. By the end of the year, you will have 52 good habits, and you will have gotten rid of at least 10 bad habits, at least. And you keep doing that. Keep creating good habits. One good habit a week. And the next week, don't get rid of the habit you just created. Keep that habit going and create another good habit. But this is how you just keep moving. And I guarantee your life will change. Because that's how my life changed. I kept on doing something different. Something good. It started with feeding homeless people. And then I figured, well, every time I buy a pack of cigarettes, I also would buy chips and stuff. And then it became feeding coworkers and homeless people. Then it became putting money into funds and saving up money to buy something bigger. And every single time it just built more and more of a good habit. So yeah, if I could share anything, any sort of wisdom with anybody about bad habits or anxiety and stuff like that, just create good habits. That's all.
Good stuff.
Yeah. What else do we have, my love?
Let's look up some topics here.
I'll tell you guys what, though, this week has been real crazy.
Real. It just started big. Today's Monday.
Well, not to them.
Oh, that's right.
We're recording this on a Monday.
Take that back.
I'm talking about, in general, our weeks have been pretty crazy.
Very crazy.
I got my unemployment check finally. For some time, for 4 months and some change, I was dealing with barely getting any work.
Barely.
And just scrummaging for change. We were selling all kinds of stuff in our house.
Yeah.
Got rid of some video games, laptops. Got rid of a bunch of tools, which hurt. But there wasn't enough work for them, and I wasn't just going to leave them there, and I needed to feed my family. So we were selling a lot of stuff. We were contemplating selling our TV, selling our chairs, and starting to sell furniture because I was scratching my head.
It was getting scary.
Yeah.
We were like, oh my God, any
And
day now, God.
And it's still pretty, like, I'm still looking for work.
Uh-huh.
I still look every week and stuff, and trying to look for something more stable and stuff, because obviously the unemployment is only so much, But they were finally able to send us our check, or they sent us a card with a large lump sum for the 4 months that we'd been waiting. So thank God for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it got us back on our feet a little bit. We were able to spend and catch up on all our bills.
Hallelujah.
Catch up on food, because we were buying just the bare minimum for survival. We were like, what do we need for today?
Basic scraps.
I know. We were like, I could figure something out. If we buy just one pack of chicken, it's like $7. Yeah, we were making.
Some of y'all know the struggle is real.
So thank God. We also had friends and our pastors.
Yes.
They helped us so much with what they could.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys. You guys are the best. You guys have really made us feel like we're home, we're family, and we appreciate
y'all make us feel like we matter.
I know. And we do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say we don't. We do matter.
Yeah.
But also thank you guys. So, did you find our new topic?
Yes. How about gender?
Ooh.
Should children be allowed to choose their gender?
I'm going to go ahead and answer this one disrespectfully. I'm going to go ahead and say no. Look, the bottom line is let's not even go to religion.
Yeah.
We ain't got to go that far.
We really don't.
18-year-olds don't even get to smoke or drink because they're too immature. Their bodies are not properly developed.
Mm-hmm.
Their mindsets aren't in the right place to handle drinking and smoking.
Not stable.
How are we going to let little kids make that kind of decision? We don't let them get tattoos even.
Not only that,
because they might change their mind.
Athena, our daughter, oldest daughter, she was in love with Jojo Siwa for like 4 months. Not even a year. Not even 6 months. About 4 months. Then it changed.
Yeah.
Then it was LOL. Obsession with LOL. And I remember going through stages like that when I was little. You're figuring it out.
Just all you got to do is think of yourself. You don't have to go as far down as the law is allowing. Think of middle school. What headspace were you in, and what did you think you were going to be in life? Like, and then really, really think to yourself, did I become that? Obviously not. Why? Because life changes you.
Now we understand there are certain different people. Not everybody's the same.
Sure.
We get that.
And so one of the arguments is sexuality doesn't change. I was attracted to, men when I was a kid, and I'm still attracted to men now. And the problem is that I don't think attraction has anything to do with sexuality. I think physical attraction really has nothing to do with sexuality. And the problem is that no one teaches that the right way. And because of that, people are left confused and thinking they're sexually attracted to men when they're men. And some people are just some of y'all are stupid. Like, I say it in a disrespectful tone because it's infuriating. It's infuriating to have to break reality for your desire because you feel like you were born in the body of a man, but you really are a woman in your mind. That's not reality.
Mm-hmm.
And you can try to force that on everyone else, or just accept that you have that feeling in you, but it ain't real. The reality is that you were born with a penis, so you're a man. Or you're born with a vagina and you're a woman. The rare, very, very rare case is that you're born with both. And I forget what that's called. But even then, before you even become of age, doctors make you choose. And it doesn't mean everybody else gets a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everybody else was born with both the penis and vagina. Then there's another way to look at it is, well, I can't really get into that because I don't know it enough. I'm going to go ahead and just stop there. I don't know enough to continue.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with saying that. But I have formulated an opinion and I stick to it for both religious reasons and my own personal moral reasons. So, should kids be allowed to decide whether or not they should become transgender at an early age? No. Why?
They do
for
not
all the
know.
reasons we just talked about.
Yes, they do not know what they want.
Of course not. And they may want it for that time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. They don't get to choose until they're 18. And some people may know by the time they're 16. Some people may decide last minute, you know what? Nah. I don't know.
It's just mind-boggling how this has even become a conversation.
It is.
In like the United States.
It is. And now we have we have people pretending to be cats.
Mm.
And someone posted a video and was saying that this was a member of the LGBTQ community, or I don't know how many other letters they have in there, but I don't know. You're more knowledgeable than me in that. But this person was also this person was gay. It was, and they were saying that, we didn't really believe the Christians when they said, if we let you guys come out and be who you want to be, then all the other weirdos are going to come out and just be whoever they. And this person was like, I see now how real that is, because this person was coming out as transgender, and now he has to defend the rights of people who identify as dogs or cats just to protect their own identity. And it's ridiculous. And they finally see it, and they're like, you're not a dog or a cat.
Mm-hmm. There was a girl on TikTok that was comparing that to people that have different personalities. What's the difference?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Transgender people?
Transgender people have gender dysphoria.
Mm-hmm. And then comparing people that have that deal with multiple personalities.
I don't know enough about that to. Oh. I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I wonder. Hopefully, some of y'all see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, somebody will. It's okay. Yeah. So, any other topics you got there?
See.
Sorry about the whole wait on the topics and all that. We literally just decided, you know what? Let's record some today.
Yeah.
And if we post it, we post it. If we don't, then y'all never saw this anyways.
Here's a funny one, kind of tying into what we were talking to.
Yeah.
God is non-binary. No neuter term.
So, I had we were out, we went out for dinner with these friends of ours from a church we used to go to.
Are you talking about you and me?
Yes.
Okay.
And I remember the only reason I'm bringing this up is because we were waiting to like get sat down to eat or something, and it was like a 40-minute wait. We were just standing around and we were waiting for this couple to show up. And before they showed up, these two ladies had come up to us to preach to us and tell us that God is a woman.
Oh yeah, that's right.
God the Father is actually God the Mother.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a whole religion started.
Yeah.
And I found it interesting because according to my theory, and this is my theory only because it's based on what I've read and what I know of God, but my theory and my knowledge of God is that he's not a man or a woman. He created man and woman in this physical world because we needed gender. But why would an ultimate, all-knowing, all-powerful, everlasting God who transcends time need a gender?
Crazy thought.
He doesn't need one. Now, I know that in the Bible, he is described as a man, and he is described as, the Father. But it was never God who referred to himself as the Father. It was always the writers that referred to God as the Father. And it was because he had to put himself in a position of authority in a way that people could understand.
Hold that thought. If y'all ever think he's wrong,
oh yeah,
message.
Yeah,
message him.
If you guys have fact about God referring to himself as a man,
yeah, we want to talk about that.
Then I'm definitely gonna post a clip and say I was wrong, and I'll tag even this part of the clip. I'm not tripping. But according to my theory, I say that because y'all are free to go read and look it up.
Yeah.
According to my theory and my thought and the way I view God, he doesn't need gender. And so the term father, and like he needed to have a role or a title that represented authority. And the thing that represented authority in the land at the time was men, and in more seriousness, fathers. And so if you were the father or grandfather or great-grandfather, you were at the top of the hierarchy and you made the decisions. And so when you viewed God, you would of course think of him as a father because this dude knows everything and does everything, created everything. So this guy has to be a guy. And so the people referred to him as God, the creator, the father. And I'm not saying... Go ahead.
I don't want to forget. That's what I'm saying now.
I'm pausing for you.
Okay, so then I think, what do you say about what's it? Daniel's vision that he saw, and he described how God looked.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it manly features?
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm wrong, guys.
Oh my god! I just proved my husband wrong. I just faced my
based on this vision. Okay, it was a vision that God gave to Daniel, and based on the vision, God is a man with white hair, fiery eyes, and a white robe. And he sits on a throne. He has a son named Jesus. The vision doesn't refer to him as Jesus, but it refers to God as the head of days. And Jesus is the Son of Man. And these two rule together on their thrones and stuff. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
And we were just talking about that. I think it was on Sunday. Yesterday.
Yeah, and the idea was that the language also has no neuter. So the language also has no they them. No term for it, like the English language does. Bring me that thing over there. Bring me it. It was, the Spanish language is very similar to the lack of neuter. And if you speak Spanish, or if you know anything about Latin or Spanish, every chair, table, object has either a male or female concept to it. So if I refer to the chair, it's not it's la silla, which is the female chair, if you really want to translate instead of interpret, because the Spanish language has no neuter, no term for it. And so because the Hebrew language and the Greek, the Aramaic, all of the original languages that the Bible was written in, all of those languages have no neuter. And so the theory that I read up on, and the reason I came up with that conclusion that God is non-binary, is because God can be everything and nothing at once. So if he wanted to, he could be a woman. If he wanted to, he could create himself into anything. He does display himself as a man to us. I should say that. I stand corrected by that. He does display himself as a man. He displays himself as the Father. He displays himself as a symbol of authority. And don't be offended by it. It's just the way God designed it, so that it could be easier for us to really acknowledge him at his greatest core. And we would never be able to acknowledge him correctly to his greatest being without acknowledging the fact that he displays himself as a man to us. But does he need a penis? No.
We're talking about God's possible penis.
I mean, that's what it's called.
It's just
and that's
funny.
what gender is.
It's funny to have God and penis in the same sentence.
It's funny.
Not common. It's not.
It's funny maybe because it's, again, uncommon. We didn't hear about Jesus's penis. We didn't hear about the scriptures. But the reality is that when Jesus was on the cross, he was butt naked. Jesus had a butthole. He had a penis. He probably had stinky armpits like everybody else because he was human. But God and Holy Spirit don't need gender. They refer to themselves as the husband, and the church is the bride. But we need the illustration of marriage to understand the way God wants us to be family with him, and united and loving, and all of the things that are supposed to. And I say supposed to because not every family has it, but everything that family is supposed to come with. God needed that illustration so that we could see ultimately what heaven is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
We're supposed to love our neighbors like ourselves. We're supposed to love everybody, our enemies. We're supposed to love everyone so that we can learn to be like God. But it doesn't mean that he needs a bride to have sex with. So we can really try to dig into all that, but I feel like the more we dig into all that, the more blasphemous it's going to sound to religious folk. And I don't want to offend y'all, but
it's a route we don't want to take.
At the same time, it's one of those routes that if we don't take it, and if no one does, if no one really reads into it,
I mean, underexposed.
You're on one today. You just be correcting me. So what if the point of heaven is to have orgies? Oh yeah. We're definitely getting kicked out of our church.
Have faith in us.
Please keep loving us, guys.
We're good, I promise. We're just weirdos.
It's late, all right? That's my excuse. It's 11 o'clock right now for us.
Way past our bedtime.
But whatever. I think it's a good... This is not a good place to end an orgy in heaven with God.
Why did you bring it back up?
Sorry, guys. It's late. This is supposed to be pillow talking. Now you guys are invading our pillow talks. So much for Underexposed. Anyways, we'll figure it out. We'll find out the truth. We'll let y'all know. And till then, for now, love Jesus, love everybody, love your neighbor.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
What she said. Peace.